So let's begin. If you want the universe to shift, stop waiting for a sign and start being the gift. Stop looking for proof and start being the truth. Don't beg the mirror to smile. Smile. The mirror will follow in a while. The universe reflects who you are now. So who are you choosing? Not pretending, not hoping, being. Step one, ask yourself, what would I be doing if I was already that version of me? Would I lay around all day? Would I complain? Would I speak small just to stay sane? Or would I wake with purpose, move with clarity, dress like power was already mine? Would I still try? Or would I decide? You don't get wealthy by waiting to feel worthy. You become worthy and then the wealth confirms it. You don't get peace by avoiding the noise. You become still and the chaos bows to your voice. Step two, do the thing. Even if your bank account laughs, even if your friends don't ask, even if your nervous system shakes, because the shift ain't fake, it just takes shape once you take action. Action is the final equation to creation. No movement, no manifestation. The mirror waits for you, not the other way around. You don't fake it, you faith it, and act like it's now. The universe reflects who you are now. So walk like it's done, speak like it's love, move like you're already the one, and watch the mirror drop its jaw. The universe reflects who you are now. So walk like it's done, speak like it's love, move like you're already the one, and watch the mirror drop its jaw.
I don't ask for what I already am. I don't chase what's coded in my hand. No begging, just becoming. Let's go. I don't beg, I align, then I step. Becoming the version that cashes the check. No fear, no doubt, just fire in my chest. I evolve in silence and glow with the best. I walk like truth, I talk like fate. I don't wait on blessings, I activate. This ain't luck, it's sacred becoming. I speak, I move, and now it's coming. I used to beg for change, now I am the shift. I upgraded my name, now I move with gift. Not a victim of time, I'm a master of flow. What I want ain't distant, I already know. No more one day, I am the day. I became the prayer I used to pray. They wait for signs.
To the ancestors known and unknown, Ashe. To the gods known and unknown, Ashe. All the praise, all the glory be to the Most High. What's going on, guys? You know, I wasn't even planning on getting on. I'm exhausted after work, but you know, I sat down to relax, and you know, I saw something come across my timeline that I got something that needs to come out. You know, today, just in general, recently, it's just as I reflect, I look back to where I was this time last year. And it was sitting in an apartment. You know, an apartment that I'd only been in for a month. And I was currently in there by myself because my roommate, who knows what he got locked up for? It could have been drugs, it could have been domestic violence, who knows? You know, he was a pathological liar, so who knows what the true reason was. But, you know, all I know is he couldn't pay his rent. And I was close to losing, you know, my place to stay once again, which is Who knows how many times in the last 5 years? I've lost count. So it's just, it is what it is. It was just another time, another thing to figure the fuck out, right? You know, but I give thanks. You know, I celebrate my achievements. You know, my achievements of being able to stay calm in the storm, not to get consumed by it, not to lose sight of all the ways that the Most High has already come for me. And why would it stop now? You know, still stepping into the knowing of everything happens for my greatest good. You know, because at the time it was still just a belief, but you only believe in what you do not know. And it's just, it's been a year. And you know, I talk about generational trauma and stored trauma, and I talk about tapping and how it can release, you know, trauma, right? And this time last year, you know, while I was, you know, in the apartment by myself, I knew I was gonna lose it soon. But instead of consuming myself with that, what did I choose to do? I chose to finally fast, a true fast, a long fast, the longest one I'd ever done. You know, I chose to do things that I'd been neglecting, tapping, you know, some dancing around, some stuff to get energy flowing, to start releasing stuff, things that I've been led to that I know I was supposed to be doing, but I just wasn't doing it. And I chose that time to do it. You know, but through the tapping, you know, I don't believe that shit releases stored shit. I know it does. Because, you know, if you look at, you know, videos, if anyone's been here long enough that saw the videos from this time last year, you know, people would think I lost my mind. But then again, it's just how many times do people already think I lost my mind? You know, a lot of the shit I spoke upon, it's, where was the lie? There wasn't lies. There wasn't lies. I partially kind of hold some remorse for the way I said things. You know, but the funny part is I didn't even say a fraction of the things that I could have. And I didn't say anything intentionally. It was just, it was flowing. It was coming out. And I wasn't suppressing anything. I was letting it all out. Right? Some of the people I called out, you know, did blatant, obvious things wrong against me. You know, other people I called out, you know, it's wrongs that were done against me so long ago. So long ago, I don't think about it. I barely thought about it long after that. You know, until I saw the person again, until the emotions got brought back up, but it wasn't something I dwelt on. It wasn't something that kept resurfacing, but it was something still trapped. And I just aired it all out. I was going through a lot that I spoke about, a lot that I didn't speak about. You know, in one of my call-out sessions, I called out this girl because of, you know, I was on a bender. I was on a drug bender one time, right? But I was dealing with a lot of emotions, you know, choosing to walk away from my apartment, you know, not seeing my son, dealing with all this bullshit, right? And, you know, I was emotionally vulnerable, and I tried opening up, and I got mocked and laughed at. You know, maybe they didn't fully hear me. Maybe they did choose to hear me and still reacted the way they did, responded the way they did. I don't know. I really don't care. You know, but I did say some things in the way that I said about it. I made a shot at her, you know, about her choice in men. And, you know, as I was scrolling on my timeline, you know, saw someone's post. And all I saw was pictures, bruises, scrapes, all sorts of pictures, right? And so I'm like, who is this? And I scrolled up a little bit, and I was like, oh, shit. And I knew like automatically where it came from, but it's like, holy fuck, I just saw you post a couple days ago with him. And on one hand, I was surprised that you were together still. But it's like, I thought that, you know, to be honest, she was kind of one of the better girls he's been with recently, so I thought maybe he cleaned his life up and he's doing better, because I wanted to hold the belief that he's doing better, not that he's still stuck in the same shit he was in when I left, you know? And this is someone that I've known for a long time. This is someone that, you know, we knew of each other back in the day, you know, because it was a small area, but I always held a small circle, and he wasn't part of it, right? Until he became part of it. Someone I went to, you know, a lot of concerts with. I spent a lot of time with, a lot of bars, a lot of after parties, a lot of drugs. You know, so when we had a lot of good time, I had a lot of good times, right? You know, but at the same time, I saw stuff that I didn't say anything about. You know, I was dealing with not being able to see my son, and not because I did anything wrong, but because I was being a good father. And my son didn't like the way I was being a good father. And he went along with his mom's bullshit, and I didn't see him. And the toll that took on me. You know, so I'm dealing with that on top of many other things. And to sit there and know that he's choosing drugs over seeing these kids. To know that he's choosing to do this over seeing these kids. You know, okay, from the surface, from the outside, you're always around. You're supplying the alcohol, the drugs, you know, at the parties. You're giving stuff away. But I'm watching you rate people for it. I'm looking at the prices you're charging them. Them, not me, because I wouldn't pay that shit. You know what I mean? But it's like, that's the least you could do is get back to them the way that you're bending them over. Like, the fuck? You know, but I really wished he was doing better. No, but I guess on Monday he got arrested for domestic violence for this other girl, right? And so then it brings back the memory, you know, what I said about her and her choice of men. You know, maybe she was in a situation she couldn't have got out of. And you know, in hindsight, I kind of regret that blow I took at her. But, you know, the way that she hit me when I was low, regardless if she knew what she was doing or not, I felt the way I felt, and it is what it is. You know, it's like we know the type of people that we surround ourselves with, right? You know, it's friendly guy, nice guy, you know, could give some great advice, but at the same time, very aggressive. You know, we'd be on benders all the time. You know, we spent summers, all we did, benders. You know, 3, 4, 7 benders, right? But it's like, you know, but some of the women he was with, there were some tough bitches, right? So they probably would have taken a beating and not said anything. That's just who they were, though, right? And so it's like, on one hand, it was the emotions I felt. It was sad that I was seeing it, you know, because it kind of confirmed something that was in the back of my mind, but I never had any proof because no one talked about it, right? But on the positive side, she's headed in a step in the right direction. You know, it's those moments like that. That's how you find the positive in a negative. You know, at least she found the courage. She found the strength to reach out, to do something about it, to get herself safe. You know, that's the energy, that's the positive that you focus on, right? Not the negative. You want to pull as much as you can away from the negative as you can. You know, but this guy, you know, when I called his ex-girlfriend out last year, he blew my phone up, blew it up, nonstop, blowing me up. But I also called out one of his best friends, someone he works with, right? But who was this dude? Someone else I knew from high school. Had he done anything wrong that I actually knew? Not necessarily. But, you know, this dude tried to set me up with his stash, right? Because I wasn't pushing anything. I made a promise to myself I wouldn't get back into that game. But I surrounded myself with those people. But this dude, well, you know, he was being sloppy, just an ignorant fuck, and getting himself caught up. But of course, he would roll over and snitch like a little bitch. And he tried to set me up. Tried to set me up with his stash more than once. And when I got out, you know, I got out of that last situation. The only person I called, I didn't know who to call. I didn't know who to trust. Well, I trusted that guy, my friend. Trusted him. I reached out to him, told him everything that was going on. You know, but all these people are all still hanging out together. You know, then I completely stopped drugs, walked away from it. And then I'm here, and then someone else goes over to this house to pick up or whatever, and he's telling me all these people that are there. Listen off all these names, and I know whose house it is. And you're going to tell me, first off, that you saw someone that I told you tried to set me up. You didn't do anything about it? Yeah, okay. All you did was use your words, big guy? All you did was use your fucking words? Yeah, okay. Right. You know, trying to manipulate me. I don't know what his game was, but, you know, I know all these people around talking about me. I know to an extent they know that I knew I was being set up, and regardless, you know, they knew. And so it's, you know, nothing I said was a lie. I didn't lie, not once. There was no lie. You know, but I'm not gonna lie. It was in the back of my mind. Oh shit, this guy's probably he might come after me. You know, he might come looking for me. I'm not gonna lie. That was in the back of my mind. I didn't respond at all. I sent him one message. told him, do not contact me again. You know, but this is someone that, you know, when I got in my motorcycle accident, when I reevaluated my whole life, I went through my whole contact list and wrote down all these names that I thought deserved to be there. You know, I got out of my car accident, or my motorcycle accident, right? My accident. I fucking don't know how it happened, but then I pulled my bike out of the road, ran it across the grass, threw it in the fucking bushes, and then waited for help, went to the hospital, lied to them, you know, just I had to get checked out and make sure I wasn't, like, gonna die, right? But I didn't want any help. As soon as they told me I wasn't gonna die, I signed myself out, ripped the IVs out, I'm fucking out of here. And where did I go? I went and I got a ride. I went to go meet up with all them. I did some drugs and drink. You know, but I reevaluated my life. And when did he stop by to see if I needed anything? He knew my situation. Yeah, you would answer my call, and yeah, you would supply me with shit if I wanted it. But where were you? Where were you as a friend? You weren't there. Did I need him? No. But at the same time, this is someone that I had put on that list. I did another reevaluation at that list later on. And I got a lot smaller too. You know, but it was the time that I took to be by myself. It was a choice. You know how many times I've chosen to be alone? I've chosen to sleep in my vehicles. I've been lucky and I've always had a vehicle to sleep in. A lot of times multiple. But you know how many times I've chosen that just because the situation wasn't right? A lot. But I don't regret it because it was the right thing to do. So I did it. You know, but it's in the time that I took to be alone. It was in the time that I chose repeatedly to be alone. That's when we find answers that we're seeking. That's when we bring back up a lot of pain. You know, that's when we start looking at things from a different perspective. You know, but as I sit here now, looking back, I give thanks. You know, looking back through everything, would I do it all again? Yes. Do I want to? Fuck no. You know, thankfully we're not defined by our past. You know, we're defined by the choices, the actions, the decisions, you know, the thoughts that we have right here and right now. You know, but it's the battles that people fight that no one knows about. It's the battles that people fight that people do know about. You know, looking at the comments on our post, you know, people talking about watching it for the last year and wishing you, well, like, thankful you got out and got out alive. Well, where were you for the last year, though? If you knew what was going on, where were you for the last year? I don't know the full situation, so who am I to say? That's just going off of the comment that I saw. But it's, how many people have an idea? Like, maybe they see stuff, but maybe they only just know because their friend's really good at hiding it. You know, but it's silence. You know, we don't heal from silence. We don't get in a safe situation through silence. right? Some temporarily we bite our tongue while we figure a way out, but to remain silent. But yeah. That's it. I just need to hop on and get that off my chest. But thanks for tapping in.